Okay, this is the help video for Access Chapter 12, and in this chapter we're going to refine the user experience by developing some macros, and we're going to build on that user interface that we started in Chapter 11. So if you take a look at the description for the assignment, I have the instructions over here on the left, and I have the start file over on the right. So basically, you're going to automate routine tasks to increase efficiency and create additional functionality to improve the usability of the database. So the first thing that I want to talk about is, what is a macro? So macros are just different kinds of objects we have not talked about yet. You know, we've done tables, queries, forms, reports, but macros are a different category. And what they do is they provide a way of automating routine tasks. So they can add functionality to reports and forms, as well as the controls within the forms and reports. So one of the terms that we want to look at is the term argument, and those are values that provide information about the action being carried out by the macro. So there's three different kinds of macros in Access. There's standalone, embedded, and data macros. So standalone macros are separate database objects that are displayed in the navigation pane. The standalone macros can be executed directly from the navigation pane by double-clicking. So, for example, these two right here. Embedded macros are stored as part of a database object, such as an object on a form or a control, or the form or control itself. You could have a button, and that button will kick off a macro or a set of instructions. Embedded macros are not seen out here at the object pane. And the third kind of macros are data macros, and those are stored in Access tables and are triggered by table events. Data macros are typically used to implement some kind of business logic in the table and to automatically set field values in fields. So what we're going to do in this section is we're going to learn about macros, as well as how to build, edit, and troubleshoot them. So if we take a look at the steps, we've already completed step number 1. So step number 2 is to improve a macro that's already in existence. So right here we've got this sample MCR. Do you see how macros in this nomenclature begin with MCR? That way you can immediately know what kind of object it is. So what I want to do is this sample macro, I want to do a right click and design view. And it brings us into this macro tools and this view. So this is something we really haven't seen yet. And don't be intimidated by it. It's absolutely fine. So here we have a list of what the macro is. And over here is a catalog of actions that you can do. Notice that there's a category of program flow, actions, and then in the database between the different objects. So the very first thing that we want to do is add a comment block to this macro. So I'm going to click on this comment, and I'm just going to drag it and look at when I'm over here. Do you see this line? I want to put the comment at the top. But know if you put it in the wrong location, or if you're building a macro and you have something out of order, you can use these arrow keys to change the order of an item within the macro. So all we're going to do in this comment is type what this macro is about. So when we look back after some time has passed, we'll understand what this is. So this macro opens the employee list report and sends it to the printer, period. All right, I click off of it. It turns it to green with this slash and asterisk. This tells me that it is a comment, which means it's a non-executable line within the macro. So all of these things are part of what is executed. This green means it's really just informational and serves no role in the macro except for providing information. Okay, so step number 3, adding a message box to inform that user of what is happening can enhance usability. So we're going to add a message box action to the macro, and we're going to provide some arguments to that message box. So how do we go about doing that? So what we want to do is right here where it says add new action. So I'm going to click on the down arrow, and it brings up a whole list of actions that we could add to this macro. We're going to find message box. So a message box just displays information, and we see them all the time in systems that we run, but now we're actually creating them. So the message that we want to send out is the report is now being sent to the printer, and we want beeping, so a sound. The type, we're going to do that, and we want it to be, what do we want it to be? We're going to leave that type of none, and then in the title we're going to say printing report. So let's see if we have everything we need. And I believe we have it all. So if you look at the placement of this, the message is displayed after the print has been done, like it's after the fact. So what we want to do is we want to move this message before we run a menu command. So if you think about how you would print something, you'd go up, file, print, right? Well, that's what this is doing. This is running a menu command. These are menus, so it's running the print object command. So that is taking place of the person going file, print, print, that whole set of things. So we want that message to happen before the actual print. So I'm just going to use this green arrow key and move it so in the flow of this macro, we're going to open the report, we're going to put out a message, and then we're going to print the report. So we're going to go ahead and save and close this macro. We want to try and, well, let's see. Let's actually run the macro and test it. So I went back into design, and look, right here's a run key. So if I run it, here is the report, here is the message. It's not being printed yet because I'm stuck on this message box that I just created. We created this. Here's the message. Here's the print report. Because we didn't change the type to anything, it's just a simple box with an OK. The minute I hit OK, it's going to finish this print. It's going to allow us to do that. I'm going to cancel because I don't really want to print it, and I'm going to close that. But we went through this, we opened the report, we put out the message, and we waited for the OK, and then we actually went to print object. So it worked fine. We're going to close that, and we are now on step number 4. So let's take a second to read what step 4 is about. An employee of the spa has attempted to create a macro that would open the customer form, create a new record, and place the pointer in the first name. However, the macro is not working properly, and you have been asked to troubleshoot and fix that macro. So let's go ahead and open this troubleshoot in design view. And what we want to do is use the single step which is right here. So in the tools, there's run, and then there's single step. What this will do is it will move line by line through this, so we can try and isolate where this macro is not working. So we're going to use the symbol sec to, so click, click. Okay, hold on. I turned it on and off. So okay. This is, do you see how it's got the box around it and now it doesn't? So I was clicking it too many times. So you turn on the single step mode and then you click run. Okay. So I messed something up. Okay. So back up. I went down here and I clicked, so nothing is selected. I'm going to turn single step on and I'm going to click run. So this is a message box. Its purpose is to provide information. Okay, that's good. Step. This is a message box. Its purpose is to provide information. Right? So here's the box. So we're checking this step. Okay. Here's the next thing. Go to record. The arguments provided are that it's a form, the form customer, and new. So I'm going to go ahead and say step, and it's saying, hey, the command or action go to record isn't available now. So let's think logically why it's not. I'm going to stop all macros. So let's think about this. Let's go through this step. So we put out a message and we're saying, hey, go to a record, go to a particular field, and then open the form. So walk through that process in your mind. What would you do if you wanted to go into a form and go to a new field and then go to a particular spot on that form? What do you have to do first before you can do it? Well, you have to open the form before you can use the form, right? So these are out of order. So I'm going to take this open form and I'm going to shift it up. So message box, open the form, go to a record, the new record, and then place your cursor in the control. So let's see what this says here. Take the appropriate steps by moving the open form action so it's above the go to record. Okay, and below the message box. Turn off single step, save, and close, and then test. So there's our message box. There it opens the form. It went to a new record and it placed our cursor in the right spot. So we fixed it, right? All the elements were there, they just weren't in the right order. So we're good with that one. So hopefully you can see it's not just everything about getting it on the macro, but you have to get it in the right order. And what I do is I usually just go through the process manually, whatever it is I want to do, and I write down everything that I'm doing, every step, because you do things so automatically that you don't think about it. And then when the macro tries to do it, it doesn't know anything other than what you tell it to do. So you have to make sure that you hit all of those spots. Okay, I'm going to stop this macro or this movie at step 4. All right, thank you.